My name is Otamiri Elegon. I'm the country manager for Great Place to Work Nigeria. And so I think I will just go ahead to speak to this process. I will share some slides. It will provide insights around how you can earn the Great Place to Work certification for yourself and for your organization. I want to appreciate everyone who has taken out time from this very, very rainy day. I think almost all around Lagos, at least it's been rainy. I even hear that even in Ogun State, it's also rainy. But I want to appreciate everybody who has taken out time out of a busy schedule. I would not want to waste your time any further, so I'm going to share my slides. I hope you can still hear me. I'm going to share my slides so we can speak through this process. It's a 40-minute session. After the session, I will open up the room for questions and answers so I can provide some answers, or you can also send through the chat whatever questions you have, and I'll be very happy to provide the response that is needed for you. Let me know if you can see my chat, my slide. Can I get a response in the chat room to see if you're sure you can see my slide? Excellent. It says yes. Thank you very much. So this afternoon, we're talking about the steps to becoming a great workplace and the business case for becoming one. There is a business case for companies becoming a great place to work. A number of times we have discussions with potential clients and they say to us, Frederick, I want my organization to be a great place to work. We see the badge out there. We know you can attract great talent. And we go further and say to them, beyond all of that, beyond being recognized as a great place to work, there is a business case for becoming one. I want to start by appreciating companies that were certified between the months of November 2024 up to October 2025 this year. On the 31st of October, we published the list of some of the best workplaces in Nigeria, and these are certified companies up to October 2025. As we speak, additional companies have become certified. Some of the companies on this list have been certified 5 years in a row. It's easy to be certified. It's probably easy to be certified once the first time, but being able to become consistent and be certified for 5 years and become a 5-year legend is really very remarkable. And so today, I want to invite you into the largest community of great workplaces as you take a step into that community. Overview about who we are globally, Global Authority on Workplace Culture. We've done this for 30 plus years across the globe in about 180 plus countries and counting. And to date, we've been able to carry out over 100 million surveys and still counting across the globe. And it's centered around trust. The reason for us why companies are great workplaces is the level of trust that exists in these companies. We say do employees trust themselves? Do employees trust senior leaders? Do employees trust what they do at their desk on a daily basis? And so we deploy for us what is called the Trust Index Survey. With our work with clients, we provide a holistic overview around workplace culture from the lens of the employee through the Trust Index Survey. And with the Trust Index Survey, we're asking questions around, is management credible? Does management have understanding of the business? Do they know what the future of this business, what it looks like? Do employees feel respected at work? Do they feel that their opinions count, that management provides them an enabling environment for them to be successful at work? We measure fairness to say, do employees feel a sense of fairness for salaries, bonuses, allowances, as the case may be? Will I get a fair hearing at work if I have a challenge at work? Can I knock on the door of my human resources manager and say to him, Femi, I have a problem at work, I have a challenge, or I have a challenge with my line manager, and he gives me a fair hearing? We also measure pride, and we see pride across three categories: personal pride, team pride, and organizational pride. And we know without a shadow of doubt that employees that have great pride in product and service offerings are the ones you want in front of your customers. Your customers can see from a mile away whether employees have great pride in product and service offerings. We also measure camaraderie, and with camaraderie, we're asking questions. Are we working as teams to achieve the company's objectives? What's the welcoming experience beyond what typically when we see with organizations, employees are usually wowed at the point of onboarding. The HR team has a well-defined, robust plan around onboarding. Even from the point of candidacy up to orientation, employees are wowed to say, and they say to themselves, wow, this is the company I want to work with or work in. But the challenge for a lot of companies is where employees move from the HR experience to begin to engage their line managers. For some companies, it can be a culture shock. Our survey allows us to ask two questions. One that says management is, sorry, one that says that when I joined the organization, I was made to feel welcome. Another one says when I moved into the different teams, I was made to feel right at home. For some companies, the gap between those two statements could be as high as 30%. And so being able to understand what that gap looks like, or what that experience looks like when employees transition or transit from being from the orientation process to begin to work daily in their different departments will be critical in defining what your workplace culture looks like. And so for us, trust is in 5 dimensions you see here. The 5 dimensions are broken down into 15 focus areas. We measure, for instance, integrity. We measure communication. We measure integrity. We measure support. We measure equity. We measure hospitality, teamwork, equity at work, and a host of other variables. So 15 focus areas that are broken down into a 60-statement survey. So employees would typically receive from Great Place to Work a link, a survey link that opens up into a 60-statement survey in a Likert scale format, from almost always untrue to almost always true. But for us, our trust variance, where we find high levels of trust, are in the 4th and 5th variants, often true and almost always true. But we go a step further with companies to do a culture audit of the company's policies and practices. And this is so critical. And that one of the reasons why the Great Place to Work model stands out is because we provide a holistic overview around workplace culture. We're not only gaining employee or getting to understand employee experience, we are also providing a platform to understand what your policies and practices, or how your policies and practices have been developed. Because it enables us to provide advice to you around how it impacts employees, and enables them to provide either a positive feedback around the Trust Index survey or a negative feedback around the Employee Trust Index survey. And so with the employee experience through the Trust Index survey, we go on to certify companies as a great place to work. But the combination of the Trust Index survey and the culture audit is what enables us to go on to publish the list of the best companies in Nigeria and in Kenya. And so for us, with the culture audit, trust is our foundation, and it ensures that your values come alive. Beyond between the company's mission and your company's vision are your company's values, the house of your business. And so for us, emphasis typically in companies should go beyond what companies do to why you do it and how you do it. We say that when companies define their hows and their whys, it enables your leaders to become very effective. Leaders are effective because they're driven by the right values. Leaders are effective because collectively you are signed on to live on to those values. And we say that when leadership is effective, it ensures that human potentials become fully maximized. Everyone counts. And so typically, certification is a score of 65%. In other words, if we take the Great Place to Work survey, or rather, if you take the Great Place to Work survey and 65% of your employees tick either 4 or 5 on that Likert scale, we go on to say this company is a great place to work. But the question we always ask the HR leader or the management team after is, what about the 35%? Because across gender lines, we would find 35%. Across, for some companies that work across divisional lines, we would find 35%. Across leadership lines, the senior leaders are having a great experience. The frontline managers don't want to come to work tomorrow. So being able to understand where the gaps exist are critical to being able to bridge the gap through the interventions that the HR team begins to put out there to help bridge the gap and bridge the employee experience. So our human potentials become fully maximized. It also helps the process of beginning to drive innovation within the organization. Typically, employees across any kind of organization should come to work every day to say to themselves, how can I improve product and service offerings? How can I help internal customers? How can I help external customers? And that we have seen impacts all the time on financial growth. And so we say boldly to companies like yours on this call today, and the Great Place to Work methodology not only certifies companies around or certifies companies to become great workplaces, we help them articulate what financial growth looks like, being able to look at what their workplace culture looks like. And so for us, a great place to work is a place where employees trust the people they work for, they have great pride in what they do, and they enjoy the people they work with. But it is most important or more important when it becomes a great place to work for all. But across your spectrums of leadership, across the different spectrums of functional engagements, everyone feels part of the organization and can bring their best self to work, because therein lies the biggest impact that you require to achieve your company's objectives and goals. So the business case of becoming there's a business case of becoming a great place to work. And why does it matter? It's because where employee experience is great, we see that it impacts on business performance. We also see from our data that retention levels are higher at great workplaces. We also see that productivity levels are higher also at great workplaces. We also see that collaboration levels are higher at great workplaces. We are currently doing a survey in Nigeria to understand what the workplace culture looks like, especially for non-great workplaces. And interestingly, statements like this, some of the statements where we are seeing so far are around the 30-40% around some of these areas where great workplaces score so high. So imagine what if a company has great levels of retention or great levels of collaboration, how that can impact on the business. We also deliver the brand power to attract the right people and the tools to unlock their potentials. My team oversees operations in Nigeria, Kenya, and Cote d'Ivoire. But guess what? We surveyed in about 22 plus countries across Africa. And the feedback from HR leaders like yourself, feedback from MDs like yourself, is that certification has enabled them to attract great talent to the organizations. And the primary reason is because by being certified, you have an improved employer value proposition. It's a badge that is recognized in 180 plus countries where our survey is carried out annually. For us, it speaks to credibility of what we do. It speaks to professionalism of how we engage our clients. It speaks also to the acceptance of our model. Our model is centered around trust. We believe that the reason why companies are great workplaces is the level of trust that exists in these companies. And if trust is the foundation of any kind of relationship, you can imagine how much impact it would be in organizations. Even for siblings, even for spouses, even for family members, The day trust is called to question between I and my wife, that relationship might not hold for too long. And so, how much more organizations where people come from different families, from different walks of life, from different stages of the life journey, from different experiences of life, trust will be the foundational reason why the company is able to achieve the objectives and keep at what it does. We also see from our data that there is an improved, or sorry, there's a decreased employee turnover across different industries that we work with in great workplaces compared to non-great workplaces. Our data also points to the fact that at great workplaces, innovation is at a high level. And our survey enables us to measure what is called our innovation index. We ask questions like management is approachable and easy to talk with. Management recognizes honest mistakes as part of doing business. These statements are critical in 2025 because employees in 2025 are so intelligent and are the most intelligent of sets of workers that have ever existed since work began. And so it's important that you have an environment or an organization where you can have management are being approachable, or I can ask management any reasonable question and get a straight answer. Because you want your workers who are very knowledgeable, who read and study to show themselves approved, who hear across and see what's happening globally to be able to ask questions. You want them to be able to challenge status quo so that you are able to begin to drive innovation within the organization. And innovation is required for you to be at the cutting edge of any kind of business that you are in. We also see that there is improved employee engagement for great workplaces compared to non-great workplaces, because engagement is primarily driven by trust and transparency, having a positive workplace culture, even feedback and communication. We work with some companies where communication is a challenge with senior leaders. Our survey allows us to ask two questions. One says, management is competent at running this business. Another one says, management keeps me informed about what I need to do to get my job done. And for a lot of companies across Africa, management for employees is usually competent. It's one of our highest statements, competence. But when it comes to communication and say management keeping me informed, or I can ask management any reasonable question and get a straight answer, employees will say to us, management does not give us straight answers. And so we say to management, we say to HR leaders like yourself to say, you cannot be fully or truly competent if you cannot execute on your strategy. And you require effective communication to be able to execute on your strategy. Because what would happen, there are some great strategic plans and goals will get lost along the way because communication has been lost. In this day and age, in 2025, where there's so much emphasis on agility, agility is driven more by having a right workplace culture and the strategy itself. So being able to have and articulate what your workplace culture is critical. We also see that employee engagement levels impacts on productivity. And like we always say to HR leaders on a call like this, if you have to show one slide to your very busy CFO or your very busy CEO, show them this slide that great workplaces outperform the market globally. Because for us, the survey now you begin to position the survey as an investment that yields return year in, year out. And so this afternoon, I can boldly offer to you 3 of the badges, depending on how your company is structured. You can be certified as a great place to work in 2026. You can be on our list of best workplaces in Nigeria and Kenya in 2026. Across Africa, you can be certified as a great place to work. But it's currently only in Nigeria, Kenya, and Mauritius in Africa that a list of the best workplaces goes on to be published. Like I mentioned earlier on, certification is primarily based on feedback from the Employee Trust Index survey. So you can be certified anywhere across in Africa. But in terms of the list being published, we would consider your Trust Index survey where employees provide feedback. We would consider your culture audit assessment where your policies and practices are reviewed. We would combine the scores to enable us publish the list of the best companies in Nigeria and in Kenya. Currently, like I mentioned, only in Nigeria and Kenya are we able to publish that list of best workplaces, Nigeria, Kenya, and Mauritius. Also, too, if you work in a global company and you make the list in 5 countries across the globe. So, for instance, you work in Nigeria and you're on the list of best workplaces in Nigeria. You're on the list of best workplaces in Kenya, or in the US, or in the UAE, or in China, or in Germany, or in France, or even in Mauritius. 5 countries at the list, you can be considered for our best workplaces. My apologies. That badge should read 2026 best workplaces. In support of your certification, we would issue you our badge to say you're a great place to work. It's a badge that is so sought after across the globe. We would also have a web page on our website where we showcase your scores, your top statements, and say why you're reasoning why a company is a great place to work. My recognition team would go online across your social media handles to celebrate your achievements and say to your stakeholders, this company is a great place to work. Click on this link to come and see the achievements as such. We have a Certifications Nation Day. It's a day across the globe in 180 plus countries where we provide you a platform in the month of October to celebrate your achievements. And we have testimonies from Kenya, we have testimonies from Nigeria, where companies say to us, we went on this platform and our suppliers saw us celebrating our achievements as a good place to work, and it endeared them to us, or us to them, and enabling them to do more business with us. We also have what is called Great Conversations with Great Leaders. It's a monthly webinar where we invite great work leaders to showcase reasons why their company is a great place to work. And the beautiful thing about this webinar, I think it's unique across the globe, in my opinion, I stand to be corrected, is that you choose your topic. I have been to many webinars where I've been invited and they give me a topic and I need to go research, I need to go find out, and so I get myself prepared. But you choose your topic, so it enables you to come more relaxed, it enables you to come well prepared to be able to share insights that are most important to your organization. And because it's a topic that is also most important to you, that's the topic that you want to showcase with our stakeholders. What we do is provide a platform where our stakeholders can engage you and also to ask the questions that are relevant for that topic or for that webinar. Like I mentioned also too, the list that is published in Nigeria and Kenya is also one of those benefits of being certified as a great place to work. We have a partnership with Business Day, and then enables us to write articles, monthly articles. One will be coming out before the end of maybe early next week, where we showcase once again reasons why companies are great workplaces. We've had this for in two locations for about 4 months, where we've showcased company badges or logos of certified companies in VI, and at no extra cost to your organization. This is just our way of saying these are good companies, and we've had a lot of companies reach out to us to say we saw other companies on this board, we also want to be on this board, and so also to once again a way of celebrating companies that are great workplaces. We have a Dancerthon. Our data points to the fact that fun at work is your biggest integrator. If you want to bring your Gen Z or Generation X employee together, provide a fun activity or provide fun activities. And we have chosen dance. So once a year, we have a dance-a-thon where we encourage companies to showcase their dance activities, and we go on to celebrate and share those videos online. Also, because of the fact that Gen Zs are looking out for companies that are fun organizations to work in, and this is one of those ways to be able to attract them. But like we always say on a call like this, to be certified is a great achievement. To be on our list of best workplaces is a greater achievement. But our greatest offering for companies like yours is that we can provide you great insights around what your employee experience looks like through the survey. What that does is that it enables your HR team to become clear, bespoke around its interventions. Those interventions and begin to bring employees to a greater level of belonging at work. It also begins to enable them, especially when they are certified, or company certified, showcase great levels of pride to say, I work in a great place to work. In their engagement with their customers begin to see and can see clearly that these employees show great levels of pride for what they do. It enables customers to do more business. It enables customers to refer more business because employees here with these organizations know their owners. They can ask management reasonable questions that are important for the customers, to support the customer journey. When all of this impacts on productivity, it impacts on the return on investments for businesses. Management is excited about what has happened over this period. They plow back some of the funds into salaries, improve salaries, bonuses, allowances as the case may be. So that across the spectrum of stakeholders, everyone gets to benefit of being certified as a great place to work. And so today we say to you that great starts here. Beyond analytics, beyond insights, beyond listing, beyond publishing, Great Place to Work is a consulting firm. And through our trainings, through our workshops, through our seminars, we've moved companies that were not certified. We have quite a number of companies, especially in Nigeria, where they did the survey the first time, were not certified, but today they're one of the best recognized companies in Nigeria. Through our trainings, like I mentioned, through our offerings that we have for companies that we work with. We have what is called the Cultural Transformation Framework that speaks to alignment, assessment, design, evolving, and evaluating as we go. And so this afternoon, I say to you, become great. I look forward to welcoming you into the biggest community of great workplaces globally. Thank you very much. Don't know if there are any questions at this time. I'm happy to be able to respond to those questions.
Thank you, Mr. Tamiri, for that, for the presentation. It was well explained and well presented. So I believe we all have gotten one or two things for it. So it's open to questions. So if you have any questions, you aren't clear about any of the slide or question that doesn't even relate to what you presented now, you can just ask in the chat box to be read to him, and we'll be very glad to answer your questions.
Just to also point out that these slides will be made available to you sometime. I know I would get that done for you rather.
Okay, all right. So, Mr. Tamiri, there's a question in the chat box which says, what is the journey you have to put a company that is still putting solid structures and would like to be a great place to work and not just limited to certification from Mwangi Kagiri.
Okay, and so, well, the structures would be starting from the policies and practices. I don't know what policies and practices are out there, but they are foundational. They begin to shed light or begin to provide insights around these are some things that we need to do. These are some go areas. These are some do's and don'ts. Will be critical for your organization as a first step in ensuring that these are some things that we find acceptable. These are behaviors that should exist within the organization. Putting that out there will also ensure that senior leaders are the biggest advocates, modeling the process. We believe that senior leaders play a key role in defining what those structures look like and living by those structures. It would be a mistake to have put together plans, but senior leaders are not leading the role. Senior leaders should play the roles around those policies, defining those policies. Senior leaders should play the roles around being the coaches. So you're not only just defining the processes, you're showcasing and showing people how we live by those processes. We usually also advise that it will also help if you're able to do a ground zero survey. The ground zero survey at that point begins to give us an indication of where we are currently. What are the things we are doing currently? How well engaged our employees? All of the things we put out there, how well accepted are they, are those policies and practices that we currently have? And so a ground zero survey also too can help with those engagements around that process. It could be also processes, or it could also involve having some piece of training where you're able to provide some support to your middle managers, or I don't know what the size of a company looks like or what the size of a company is, but being able to provide all of that is critical for organization. And then I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Mr. Otamiri, for that direct answers to the question. So in case you have more questions, just put them in the chat box. We'll read it to you. Okay, all right. So you acknowledge that you've answered this question. Thank you, Mwangi.
Let me also say, while the question is coming, that we have subscriptions. And subscriptions are a function of your data and insights. For all the subscriptions we have 3 basic subscriptions. One which is called the Assess subscription, gives you high-level results. And so a number of times companies say to us, we just want to be certified as a great place to work. And we see value in that, especially when we engage brand communication professionals. Their mandate is to make this company a great place to work. And they say to us, at this time, we're not probably might not be interested in the deep insights or the deep down analysis around the employee experience. We just want to be a good place to work, and fine, and that's fine, because what we also see is that being certified enables you to attract great talent, and so that also too can help. And so we have what is called the Assess subscription that can give you basic high-level results, but it can enable you to be certified. It can enable you to be on the list of best workplaces. All forms of recognition goes to organization where even with the basic subscription. But we go a step further for companies that want to get deep down. What's happening with my sales team? What's happening with my finance team? What's happening with my females at work? What's happening with my non-managers? What's happening with my senior leaders? We could have a deep down insight around what the employee experience looks like. And so our analyzed subscription or our accelerate subscription provides you that deep down insight. And I'm hopeful that you're able to want to know more about it, and we can schedule a personal call where we can provide you further insights around those different subscriptions.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Otamiri. There's a question here in the chat box, which says from Olarewaju Ogundikbe. He said, is there a financial implication to getting started, and how can I get started?
Yes, there are financial implications. I just talked about the subscriptions now. And so their function is based on a number of functions or activities or characteristics. One would be your workforce size. One would be if all your employees have emails. Arimia is somewhere in a field assignment in the company as we speak, because that company, not all employees have emails. And so it's hard to go and deploy a survey through a kiosk survey or deploy a kiosk survey. With the kiosk survey, laptops are made available for within your premises, and he comes, or somebody from my team would come over with survey links, so that as many people who don't have emails can come take the Great Place to Work survey. You could also be a case where maybe it's paper survey. We can go even that to those levels for some companies who don't have any of those offerings. We can deploy paper survey for them. We can send the survey links to employees who have smartphones. So those are all those variables that give us an indication. A member of my team has traveled to Delta State as we speak on this same project to be able to gain insights around what the employee experience looks like. And so all of those variables are important in making our assessments around what the cost would look like. Also, to a function around whether are we doing the assess subscription, are we doing the analyze subscription, or are we doing the accelerate subscription? So kindly reach out to me or reach out to us, Olaniwaju. We can provide you further insights around what those implications would look like. I think as a way of getting started, Arima will reach out to you by email, just introducing you formally to this company, to our organization, and we can now take up and agree on this time where we can have a deeper conversation around how we go about this process.
Thank you, Mr. Otsamiri, for that. And Olarewaju, I'll definitely be reaching out to you shortly after this call. So there's a Mobolaji Lorry. You have your hands raised up. Okay. Mobolaji Lorry. You want to type the question or you want to use the microphone? Okay, you can go ahead and ask your question. Obalaji, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Has the question been answered? Maybe the question has been answered.
Okay, probably because he or she had her hands raised up for some time, but I think she's not. So if there's any more questions, they are spent for time. We still have a few minutes left. So if you still have further more questions, you can just drop them in the chat box. I'll still have like 6 minutes to go. Okay, Mr. Otsamiri, to not take much of your time, I know you're a busy person. You have so many things on your table at the moment. So we'll just call it a day here. But before we do, we want to appreciate everyone that has been part of the call, that has left your busy schedules to be part of the call. We appreciate you. So for more information, you can follow us on our LinkedIn channel, Great Place to Work Nigeria. And if you are joining us from Kenya, we also have the YouTube, the LinkedIn page, Great Place to Work Kenya. You can join us, follow us, and reach out to us if you have any further question. And we also on Instagram and on Twitter. You can send us a message, Great Place to Work Nigeria, Great Place to Work Kenya. And if you're following from Cote d'Ivoire too, send us a message too. So we'll be glad to answer and give you the necessary clarifications you need to become a Great Place to Work certified company. And thank you all once again for joining this call. We appreciate you. Mr. Otsamiri, we also want to use this medium to appreciate you for your lively and insightful presentation. We thank you for doing justice to the questions that was asked earlier on. So do you have any last word for
just to say that we look forward to welcoming the organization into the biggest global community of great workplaces.
Yeah, we do. All right. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Hello, George. Georgie.